And here with us now from Washington, the senator from Virginia and author of a new book called A Time to Fight, Reclaiming a Fair and Just America, Senator Jim Webb. Senator, thank you for joining us this morning.
Morning.
Very good to have you. We've got a lot to talk about. Your GI Bill, of course, your book, but I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to start with the question that you were asked at your party the other night, and that is, some say that an Obama-Webb ticket is in the realm of possibilities. If asked, would you accept to be Barack Obama's running mate?
That's just sort of something that hasn't been discussed and something I haven't really focused on that much. Here's a good little data point for you. When speaking of oil going to 130, we should all remember that with the month that Congress approved this war in Iraq, oil was $24.
Wow. Can you imagine that? What do you make, Senator, of President Bush's trip to the Middle East, and especially with this beseeching on trying to increase the oil supply, and that not going so well? I mean, there are a lot of critics saying, why did he even go over there? And it turned out to be unsuccessful anyway. Wouldn't he have known that before he went?
Yeah, it's kind of sad. You know, when you think about the fact that what we need here is a comprehensive energy strategy that takes into account all the different aspects, including nuclear. We haven't had a new nuclear power plant in something like 30 years. Nuclear is clean, it's safe when it's done right, and the President of the United States is offering the Saudis the capabilities to go to nuclear when we're not talking about that here. We need a really dramatically different national strategy on energy, and I think all of us are coming to that conclusion. It's just how we get there.
Yeah, we're trying to figure that out.
So we're going to give the Saudis nuclear, and they're going to bleed out all the oil and get the capital. And I'm not picking just on the Saudis, but they're going to be able to capitalize their future while we're draining ours. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Not. Mike Barnacle, go ahead.
Senator Jim Webb, everybody's all-American. Let me ask you a question. But before I ask you the question, let me preface it with a brief story as told to me a few days ago. Young fellow, 23 years old, New Jersey, lives in New Jersey, 2 tours in Iraq as a member of the Marine Corps, returns from Iraq, starts going to college, can't make the payments, the tuition payments, decides to pick up a little extra money by joining the National Guard unit that just got recalled and will be headed to Iraq in September.
Wow.
Tell me about your GI Bill, the benefits that people like this young man I just described would get from it, and tell me about your conversations, if any, with Senator John McCain about co-sponsoring your bill.
Okay, by the way, before I get off the air, I want to say something about this situation in Kentucky that y'all have been talking about. I wrote an entire book, not this one, but the last one that I wrote on this culture. It happens to be my cultural group.
Absolutely.
But with respect to the GI Bill, it was very clear to me, even before I ran for office, that something was amiss here. I started working in veterans law in 1977. I was the first full committee counsel in the Congress. We worked on all these bills. From 9/11 forward, when we entered a wartime environment, the operational tempo, the risks, everything changed. And the impact on these young people's lives when they have to go through these sorts of things changed as well. And we should be giving them the same kind of benefits that the people coming back from World War II had. That's what I put into place. We are really close now to making that happen. It's taken 17 months. I got 300 sponsors in the House, including 91 Republicans. I got 58 sponsors here in the Senate. It needs to happen. There's just no logic that would go the other way. And I would hope Senator McCain would sit down and listen carefully to what we have in this bill. I think he'd support it if I had 10 minutes to really go through it with him.
Pat Buchanan.
Yeah,
let's go to Kentucky.
Yeah, Senator Webb, let me ask you about Kentucky in light of what we've all been talking about, and that's the people of Appalachia, and they are the Scotch-Irish, and they are the people that you write about in the book Born Fighting, where you go back in their history, where they came from, Scotland, the plantation in Northern Ireland, what they are like and what they believe and what their hopes and dreams are. What is your assessment of how the Democratic Party, if the nominee is Barack Obama, can win back these folks? Because if he loses them, I mean, you got a huge slice all the way from Pennsylvania all the way down to Mississippi that may be out of reach for the Democratic Party.
Well, this is a very powerful cultural group that's always underestimated, and it's not simple in the Appalachian Mountains. But that original settlement that I wrote about began in Pennsylvania, and if you think about where these votes have come, went into central Pennsylvania, went right down the Appalachian Mountains into northern Georgia, northern Alabama, then spilled west. They formed sort of the core group in terms of value systems of working class white America, and we shouldn't be surprised at the way they're voting right now. And the reason that I would say that is, Black America and Scotch-Irish America are like tortured siblings. They both have long history, and they both missed the boat when it came to all of the larger benefits that a lot of other people were able to receive. There's a saying in the Appalachian Mountains that they say to one another, and that's, if you're poor and white, you're out of sight. So the fact that they would line up and vote this way is not so much a comment on Barack. I think Barack is saying a lot of good things that will appeal to this cultural group in time. But this is not, when I hear people say this is racism, my back gets up a little bit, because that's my cultural group. I think this isn't Selma 1965. This is the result of how affirmative action, which was basically a justifiable concept when it applied to African Americans, expanded to every single ethnic group in America that was not white, and these were the people who had not received benefits and were not getting anything out of it. So they're basically saying, hey, let's pay attention to what has happened with this cultural group in terms of opportunities. And the key thing is, I wrote a piece in the Wall Street Journal right before the 2004 election, and I said that if this cultural group could get at the same table with Black America, you could rechange populist American politics, because they have so much in common in terms of what they need out of government.
All right. Hey, listen, quick plug for your book. Willie Geist, go for it. Very good point, though, about these folks in Kentucky.
Senator Webb, the book's called A Time to Fight, Reclaiming a Fair and Just America. What's the biggest challenge for the next president of the United States in reclaiming a fair and just America?
Well, the book covers a lot of them, but the same themes that I ran on, meaning reorienting our national security so that it has some logic to it, restoring economic fairness in this country, and bringing accountability to elected people such as myself.
All right. Senator Jim Webb, on that note, we'll wrap up this interview. We're so glad to have you on the show again this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Best
Senator.
to you, and we'll be watching you during this campaign to see what happens. Thanks, Senator.
Thank you.